The Morgan Report with David Morgan. Discover how to build and protect your wealth at themorganreport.com.
David Morgan with The Morgan Report for the week ending 8 November 2024. Well, the election is over, or should I say selection is over. I think that's all I'm going to say on that. I do want to remind everybody to please, on our landing page, which I'm scrolling through right now, you don't have to scroll too far to get on our free email list. Scroll down a little bit right before the Supercharge Your Investment Strategy, right here on this hot link. Subscribe to our free newsletter. I bring that up because although things are less shadow banned, let's say, than they were, we've been shadow banned for years and years. I don't think that's going to change. But it is a way to stay in touch directly, which circumvents any of the major platforms. And there are things on there that you can't get anywhere else. I'm working on a coin bullion dealer friend of mine that I think is going to offer some pretty low premiums, but his mechanics of that website are not completed yet. So when that happens, I'll probably be sending those out, probably on a monthly basis or so. And you can use that as a basis to check your favorite dealer or compare prices or do whatever you wish. But at least it'll be available to those that are on the free newsletter. Of course, that's always the case for our paid members. So there's free subscribers and there's paid members. So this week I'm going to do another, hopefully very brief one. I want to talk about, first of all, the metals. There's not a lot to say. What has been going on is, we've got a pullback after the Republican Party was announced to be taking power after January 21st. Gold and silver both got whacked pretty hard. People are asking if that's the way it's going to be. I would say no. I'm going to explain that more in another update. But for right now, we really want to focus a little bit on the BRICS. On the last report, which was issued about a week ago, I went into a great deal of really what I consider problems that are above and beyond the political classes, meaning digital IDs, the BRICS, the ISO 222, and what's going on with the move towards central bank digital currencies. We covered all those in the latest report. What I want to focus on today a little bit is the BRICS, and I think there's some misunderstandings. There's been a few people that I admire greatly and certainly have learned from, a few in particular that did great work on where the BRICS is currently. So I'm going to go to Giza Death Star, Dr. Farrell. He's a friend of Catherine Austin Fitz, great guy. I've never met him. I'd love to. And he did an essay on the BRIC situation recently, and I'm just going to use his work. So obviously, whenever I do this, I love to give credit where credit is due. The piece that I wrote, and Ted Butler also wrote a piece on it, was more or less original. I mean, you can't come up with anything without, checking facts or whatever from others. But what was written by myself and him was different than what I'm going to show you. But Dr. Farrell does a very, very good job, and it's very succinct. Dr. Joseph P. Farrell, the BRICS version of Globaloney. So I'm not going to read the whole thing, but this is really important because this puts it in the proper perspective. So this was written on the 30th of October, so not that long ago. And he talks about, the BRICS meeting and what took place. And then he goes, and these are in red, so you can see them well. After promising anti-globalist start, then we take a plunge into the document, whose contents can be summarized by quoting the section headed of the article. BRICS supports global governance and is the central role of the United Nations in the international system. So they're in bed with the global governance and the role of the United Nations. BRICS supports a leading role of the IMF in global finance. Well, they're in bed with the IMF, which, as most of you know that have certainly looked at me more than a couple times, know the IMF is, way on up there, run primarily by the U.S. Well, guess what? BRICS supports the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. Well, there we go. That doesn't sound too anti-U.S. to me. BRICS supports public-private partnerships and help other nations achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. Well, if you can read between the lines and know what that really means, then you see how much the BRICS are in line with everything else. BRICS supports the reduction and removal of greenhouse gases and combat climate change. BRICS supports creation of carbon markets. BRICS supports the World Health Organization in its central coordinating role in strengthening the international pandemic prevention, preparedness, and response system. BRICS supports development of safe and effective vaccines. Strengthening multilateralism for a just global development and security versus building a just world and a sustainable planet. So, there's a thing about the BRICS and they're doing things differently and all this. Well, it may sound that way when they speak. In fact, I would say they probably do give or indicate that. But if you read what they're doing, as Dr. Farrell has done, and thank you, it's basically a summary of what Ted and I wrote in the latest Morgan report. You got to dig deep on this stuff. And again, you got to look at it from all angles. And it's important. It's important to know because a lot of people are under, let's say, what I would consider to be a misconception. Just a little more. You can read this paragraph on your own. It's not a hard website to find, but as Dr. Farrell points out, talks about comparing this to the mafia, and they all wear, similar stuff, dress the same, smoke similar cigars, speak the same language. But like Mr. Globaloney here, the super rich technocrats, politicians, and banksters remain criminals, and the enterprise and project, which they are all busily engaged, is a criminal enterprise. It's a racket. So again, they're all in bed together. And if you really want to go further, and I spent a great deal of time on this again in the last report, just go to any search engine and type in ISO 222. And I'm certainly not going to read this one to you, but it's a single standardization approach, a methodology to be used by all financial standards initiatives. Well, guess what? BRICS is right in line with this. So basically, they got a global system, and they're just showing you sort of what I consider in the political system, a left-right paradigm, a red-blue, and there's a red team and a blue team, and my team's better than your team. And it's really a distraction. As George Carlin said, and I'm sure many of you have seen it, you think you have a choice. You don't. They own you. They own all the good land, all that, and he goes on this rant. Sort of the same thing here. You think that the BRICS are breakaway, and I'm not saying that they can't mitigate the dollar dominance somewhat. That's true. The amount of dollars being used in international commerce has gone from, I think, 68% a decade or two ago to something like 54%. So certainly the U.S. dollar is not as dominant as once was. That's primarily because of the tie away from the petrodollar, not having to use dollars to buy oil. And of course, the BRICS using each other's currency. I'm not saying it doesn't have any validity, but I'm saying from the big picture, you're really being somewhat deceived unless you understand this. So if you're interested, you can do this on your own. Look about this ISO 2022, the development and maintenance. It's pretty much what Dr. Farrell outlined on the BRICS, but this is all one happy, united, globalist way of maintaining their power in the monetary sphere. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up there. This is something that we've been offering. This came out on our mailing list only. I think I took a picture of it and posted it on Twitter once. But I've listened, especially to the millennials in that age bracket, maybe younger as well. And they asked, well, I don't really care about your, the views you have on this, that, and the other thing. All I really want to know is what stocks to buy. So we are doing that now. It's called the Ultimate Resource Portfolio. You wanted it. Now it's here. My personal portfolio is ready for you. Basically, in the 25 years we've been publishing the Morgan Report, shows what's happened to the U.S. dollar and what's taken place. And I'm not going to read this, obviously. If you're on the mailing list, we're going to send this out probably once a week for the next 6 weeks or so. You'll get every top tier stock, mid-tier stock, junior producer, and what I call rank speculations or penny dreadfuls. The PDF on how to use the Morgan Report, what weighting to use, which is really important if you want maximum performance for physical stock speculations. So welcome video. The speculations I own and why I still hold them. A video on how to own speculations and not get burned. And a video on how to get quote-unquote free returns on major companies. So if you are signed up for the free newsletter subscriber, we'll be sending this out, as I said, probably once a week for the next 6 weeks or so. And one last reminder, I will be speaking at the New Orleans Gold Investment Conference down in New Orleans, 20, 21, 22, and 23 of November. I will be on the main stage once, and I'll be in a workshop once. I'm very much looking forward to it. If you're going to attend, please let us know. If you care to, just go to the website or just your email. Just type in support@themorganreport.com. Just put in New Orleans Gold Show, New Orleans, something like that in the subject line, and let me know what day you're going to be there. And if I can make time for you, I absolutely will. So that's it. It's David Morgan of themorganreport.com. We'll do another weekly perspective next week. Make a great weekend.